What if I told you one game completely changed the gaming industry? Back in 2001, Grand Theft Auto 3 didn't just redefine open world games, it forced developers to squeeze every last drop of power from Sony's brand new console. Massive cities and dynamic traffic, pedestrians and their own routines, a day and night cycle, things that simply weren't supposed to be possible on hardware from the early 2000s. So today, let's take a look at how GTA 3 pushed the PS2 beyond its limits, and changed gaming forever. Before GTA 3, the series looked very different. The original games were played from a top-down perspective. They were fun, chaotic, and full of freedom. But nothing prepares players for what Rockstar unveiled in 2001. For the first time, Liberty City was brought to life as a fully 3D open world. Suddenly, you weren't just controlling a tiny character on a map. You were living inside the city. You could steal almost any vehicle, explore wherever you wanted, ignore the main story for hours, and simply create your own adventures. It was like anything most gamers had ever experienced before. Although the PS2 was incredibly powerful for its time, it did have some serious limitations. It only had 32MB of system RAM, and to put that into perspective, modern games these days often use more memory loading a single texture than the PS2 had available for the entire game. Developers couldn't simply load Liberty City all at once. There wasn't enough memory. Instead, Rockstar had to completely rethink how an open world should work. One of GTA 3's biggest technical achievements was its streaming technology. Rather than loading the whole city into memory, the game constantly loaded and unloaded sections of Liberty City as you drove around. Buildings, roads, cars, pedestrians, even audio were continuously streamed from the disc. This happened so quickly that most players didn't even notice. It created the illusion of one seamless world. At the time, this was incredibly ambitious. And because the PS2 used a DVD drive, Rockstar had far more storage than previous consoles offered, making this streaming system possible. But of course, the hardware still had its limits. If you drove too fast, the game occasionally struggled to keep up. You might remember roads suddenly appearing, buildings popping into existence, or entire sections of the city loading a split second too late. And those weren't bugs. That was the PlayStation 2 desperately trying to stream the next part of the city before you reached it. Looking back, it's pretty amazing how well it actually worked. Rockstar filled GTA 3 with smart optimization tricks. Cars disappeared behind you almost immediately to free up memory. Pedestrians only existed where they needed to be. Traffic density constantly changed depending on what the console could handle. Even the city's islands remained locked at the start of the game. Not just for story reasons, but because it allowed the hardware to focus on a smaller part of the world. Every design decision helped squeeze more performance out of the PS2. It wasn't just graphics that challenged the console. Every pedestrian had basic AI. Drivers reacted to traffic. Police chased the player. Weather changed. Radio stations continuously playing as you switched cars. Physics determined vehicle handling and crashes. All of these systems were running simultaneously on hardware that looks tiny by today's standards. It's incredible how much Rockstar managed to fit into one game. But GTA 3 wasn't flawless. The frame rate could dip, pop-in was common, textures were sometimes blurry, but none of that really mattered. Players had never experienced this level of freedom before. For many people, it genuinely felt like the future of gaming had arrived. Without GTA 3, it's hard to imagine games like Vice City, San Andreas, even Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, or even for modern open-world giants to exist today. Rockstar proved that enormous living worlds were possible, even on incredibly limited hardware. Developers across the industry took notice. Open-world games could never be the same again. So more than 20 years later, GTA 3 still stands as one of the most influential games ever made. Not because it had the best graphics, not because it ran perfectly, but because it dared to attempt something that seemed almost impossible. Rockstar didn't just create a game, they squeezed every ounce of power out of the PlayStation 2, and in doing so, helped define an entire generation of gaming. I think it's what makes GTA 3 such a legendary achievement. If you enjoyed this trip back to Liberty City, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more gaming documentaries, and let me know in the comments, What was your first GTA game? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.